Hey, horror fans, once again, it is me, the Horror Mizumani G. It's time to review the latest horror comedy from the director of Barbershop and the Ride Along franchise. It is called The Blackening. Yes, we all can all die first now, can we? Hee hee hee.
Don't fuck with them hoes.
Now, The Blackening is a 2022 horror comedy film. It was directed by Tim Story, was written by Tracy Oliver and Dwayne Perkin. It is based upon the 2018 short film of the same name by Repeat. Now, the film stars Grace Byers, Jermaine Flower, Melvin Gregg, ex-Mayo, Dwayne Perkins, Antoinette Robinson, and Shaniqua Walls. Now, in this film, seven black friends go away for a weekend and end up trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. Ooh. When it comes to slasher films, they have plenty of tropes that we have come to expect in these types of films. Whether it's the final girl, the jock, the stoner, the horny girl, or the nerd, these films have those types of tropes that have been traded in almost every type of slasher film. We see them every time, especially during the early 80s when slasher films began to become more popular during the early 80s. We always had these type of characters where we had, the good girl who turns out to be the final girl. We had the big, strong jock. We always had a stoner girl. A stoner was always wanting to get high. We have the wild girl or the horny girl always wanting to have sex. Then we have the nerd type. All these types of stereotypes, they've been in basically almost every known slasher film, especially during the early 80s. Now, also during that time, the more interesting trope that we've seen in the early days of this subgenre was the token black character who would almost always be the first to die in these films. Get no respect at all. Now, while this trope has changed in modern horror films and even modern slasher films, we still get some horror comedies that parodies these types of tropes in those films, such as Scary Movie did. So which brings us to the latest horror comedy that makes fun of this trope. It's from American film director Tim Story, and it's called The Blackening. Interesting title. Now, using the cabin in the woods setup, we're introduced to Lisa, Allison, Dwayne, King, Namdi, Shanika, and Clifton. They are former college friends who are reuniting for a weekend of fun celebrating Juneteenth. Right after the drinking, smoking, and games begin, the power goes out. As we all notice, that's not surprising. The doors are locked shut, and the gang are led to a game room where they see a board game called The Blackening. The hell is this? Now, a voice from the game speaks. We also see a TV flashing coming on, and it actually shows a guy in a Sambo mask stating that they have to play a game or their friend Morgan, who arrived earlier, dies. Now, can the group use their street smarts and knowledge of horror films to survive this nightmare? That's kind of basically what the movie is about. Now, obviously, this film is playing the typical trope about black people in horror films, and while I've never seen or read the short story this movie is based upon, I really have to give Tim and the filmmakers credit for bringing us a decent horror film that shows African American characters in a positive light. Most of all, these characters, they're not thugs or gangsters or anything like that. They're basically very positive characters. I really did appreciate them doing that. Now, the film does make fun of how black characters act in certain situations in horror films, and some of those parts are quite funny. There's a part about not splitting up. There's some other things that happen in the film, but there is one part in the film where the gang is asked a question about a certain TV show that leads to some of the funniest moments in the film. I won't say what it is, but if you've seen the film, you probably know what I'm talking about. I actually had a good time laughing. I thought it was very creative of how Tim and the writers did for that particular part of the film. Now, Tim does a good job with the pacing as everything flows nicely and there is no downtime when the film slows down. We get a chance to actually interact with all the characters in the film. We get to see some character build up, what they've been done in what they've done in the past and what they're doing right now. Very good flow with the film. Now, these are all upcoming black actors. They've been in other movies, I believe. Grace Byers, I believe she was Empire. for that show, and they all do a fantastic job, and they have great chemistry with each other, and we all believe that they were friends back in the day. So a very nice job with the writing. I thought the script was very well paced, it was well done, and they actually did a good job as well. Now, one problem that I do have with the film is it can be predictable, especially when the killer is revealed. But I can forgive that because it kind of goes with the premise and the story what they're telling here. Yeah, it does seem a bit predictable, but it's like, okay, yeah, I get the reason why they did what they did when that particular killer is revealed. Now, the killer's motivations might have supposed to be funny because what the film is making fun of in this particular comedy, but some people might not find this reason funny. I get what they were trying to do as a reason why that particular person, what his motivations were, but some people might not find that funny. But I get the reason why they put it in there because I believe they thought it was funny. Maybe it was funny on paper, and some people might find it funny, but some people might not find that funny. Now another problem that I have with the film is like, where is the horror? I mean, yes, people die and there is some blood, but for me, it was not enough to make what I call horror or have horror elements in it. Yeah, you have the typical cabin in the wood, you have the typical horror setup here. They're actually doing a little bit more modernized horror because while they do have the cabin in the horror film, it's more plays on Saw vibes that I've seen before. There's probably some other elements in the film. Might get some Scream vibes in here as well because of the mask the guys wears. It's a Sambo mask, which is kind of indicative because of what the film that they're trying to film here. But I actually wanted more horror. I believe that the writers wanted to play more into the stereotypical trope that we've seen in certain horror films before, and because of that, we really couldn't have any more horror elements in it as what they have in here. Now, overall, I did enjoy the film as it is has the acting is top notch, and we do get some funny moments. And like I said, despite the lack of the horror elements in there, I really did enjoy it. And we want to give Tim Story a credit because this is another decent film that he's given us, along with Barbershop and the Ride Along franchises. So I really thought it was a very good film. Not great, but it was pretty good. I really did enjoy it. So I'm going to give the Blackening 3 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Giving a 3 out of my 5 bloody gold coins. Yeah, the acting is top notch. Really enjoyed all the actors in the film. They did a pretty good job. I thought the direction was pretty good. Like I said, the horror elements could have been a little bit more, but it's enough, and I believe you guys will enjoy this film. So there you go. That is my video and review of The Blackening. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, and share because it really helps out with that YouTube algorithm. If you have seen The Blackening, please leave your comments in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about the film. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G, and always remember that horror rules. And I see you in my next video. Like I say, safe out there.